So the default scene for Blender is in such a way that we like to assume that we are in the real world, and for the camera it's represented with this object here that you can see, a camera, and you also have a light bulb that will light up any object in the scene, and this shape here is what I refer to as an object or as an asset. Now in this vast span of land we call it the world, and just like in real life where you have your phone camera or you have you know a real camera focusing on an object, at the end of the day what we would be doing is to take a picture of whatever object is in our world, and definitely we would need some lighting to light up the features to see it properly. So maybe that's why the default setting of Blender is this way. Anyway, we are going to be discussing more about the Blender interface, and before we dive right in, I would like to take our mind to the Pareto principle that says, I'm paraphrasing, 80% of what we would end up creating will depend on 20% of the features that Blender has. This is because many times when we start learning new software or anything, there might be so many things going on and some of us might get overwhelmed. But I assure you, you might not need more than 20% to start with building your project at the end of the day. So let's get to it. This area over here is what we call the 3D viewport, and you can take note of whatever name of the panel you're working on by simply going to the top left corner, hover your mouse over that icon there, and you can see the name 3D viewport. The same goes for any other panel if you just want to know the names of what panel you're working on. Now for the 3D viewport, this is where we get to work on objects in our scene, and this is essentially the most active area where we can either edit objects or change their features and all. Now if I tap on any of these objects here, you can see that they are highlighted and we are selecting the objects, so that's why you can see that they are highlighted. The beautiful thing is that as you tap on any object here, you can see responsiveness to whatever you select by the far top right corner of your screen, where some objects here are also being highlighted. Now if you look at the panel, you would see that the names here depict whatever asset is being selected in the viewport. This panel here is called the outliner, and it helps us to organize assets in our scene or see the list of assets that we're working on in our project. The beautiful thing about the outliner is that you can actually put assets into collections to organize your project. Another panel here is the properties window, which I wouldn't get to just yet because we would need to see what it does for us by using it. So I'll get to that shortly. This is what we use for animation. Like I said, you can go to the top left corner of that panel and you can see the timeline. However, since we're not going to be using it for this project, I would like to collapse this and allow this viewport to take the entire span of the area. To do so, I can take my mouse to this area here, and once I can see these two arrow icon, I can right click on it and click on join areas. I will collapse this area by taking my mouse to the animation panel and tap on it, and now that panel is gone. So what we have introduced is the 3D viewport, where we're going to be working on objects, and the outliner, where we can see a list of the objects in our scene. The final thing I will talk about is the mode that we are working on, which in this case we are working on the object mode. For the object mode, I can say that it is a mode that allows us to work with assets as a whole. Now for this cube here, if I were to move it, rotate it, scale it up, and essentially work on any of its features, I will be doing so with the entire object. But if I wanted to focus on one aspect or one feature of this box, I would need to switch to another mode to allow me to do so. To do so, I will go down to this button here that says object mode, click on it, and I will see edit mode and tap on the edit mode. The edit mode allows us to work on the intricate features of whatever object we selected, and in this case I can work with the vertices, that is the point at which all the edges converge, and I can also work with the edges themselves by going to this button here, tapping on this button that has the line, and I can tap on any of the edges. I can also go to the last button here with this flat face, and it will allow me tap on any of these faces. I will be introducing some shortcuts to allow us to work faster, so please take note of the bottom left of the screen as I work, in case you want to check what I'm doing. I will be using some shortcuts. To switch to the vertex select mode, I will click on 1, and now I can select any of these vertices. If I tap 2, I can select any of the edges, and if I tap 3, I can select any of the faces, and that's how it works. One last juicy shortcut is to switch between the object mode and the edit mode, and that's simply using the tab. So I will tap on tab. So once you do so, you can switch to either the object mode, tap on tab, and you can switch to the edit mode. And that's it for all we need for now.